blood was evaporating from my body. And they gave me, initially, 4 pints of blood. There was no change. My body was still shutting down. Then they gave me 2 more pints, and somehow that next 2 pints, my body started making a rapid recovery. When I say rapid, I mean extremely fast. I came out of the coma. I was alert. I was conscious to building. They were asking me questions. I was able to answer them. I was very coherent. I was able to describe what was going on the other side. I still had the memories of what was there. And it felt like I had just closed my eyes for a second there, and I was suddenly back here. And I really didn't want to be here, but I knew I had a mission or whatever to complete. I think everybody does. But when I came back, my body had begun. They nicknamed me Wolverine at Moffitt because the cancer that I had started to shrink rapidly. I had stage 3 lung cancer and stage 4 liver cancer. I'm not a drinker. I mean, yes, I do partake in a Jack and a Coke or whatever if you're at a party or whatever. I'm not an overindulger. I never have been. The worst thing that I do is smoke, and I still smoke. Not stupid me. But they figured out the reason I had the liver cancer was because I had been experiencing a lot of pain with the lung and didn't know that I had lung cancer. And I had taken Tylenol, lots and lots of Tylenol to fight off the pain.
Uh-huh.
And I was trying to, self-treat. And Tylenol is known for being very destructive for the liver. So, but when I came back and I was fully recovered after I had passed away, five times because I've died 6 times total. So once in Bradenton and then 5 times at Moffitt. And the last time that I died was actually on April Fool's Day. Yes, I know. I said God has this weird sense of humor. I was getting discharged. It was on April Fool's Day in 2008. And the nurse had came in to take the PICC line out. And I still had the tube in my side, but they were coming in and take the PICC line out so I could go home. And when they took the PICC line out, they didn't know there was a bubble that went directly to my heart. And I stopped breathing. I felt like a fish out of water. And I stopped breathing, and they said I died then at that point for over 8 to 9 minutes. They had 14 different crash specialists all trying to resuscitate me and what have you. And once again, I just resuscitated my own. They'd already called me. They'd already said he's gone. I had no heartbeat. There was no pulse of any type. My body temperature had already started to decrease, and I was gone. And then all of a sudden, I took a breath, and I came back. And all the nurses wanted to know, did you see God? What was God like? What is heaven like? Did you see anybody? I had all these questions people asking me. And you feel a little overwhelmed, because you're like, wait a minute, why am I here? Oh, what's going on? But yeah, so I don't look at death the same as what most people do. I don't want people who I love and care about, or people that I care about, their loved ones to pass, because I know it's going to be hurtful. But I don't fear it. I'm not going to go out there and dance in the traffic. I'm not going to do stupid things. But I'm a little more daredevilish, if you want to call it that. I do things that kind of live life on the edge a little bit, just because I feel like I've got this immortal sense in my brain, kind of thing. And that's actually how The Gift of Curse was spawned, was because of all that. The novel that I wrote was because of all that. I said, a man with immortality, what does he feel like? And he feels it's a gift and it's a curse at the same time, because he outlives everyone around him. And he can't taste of death.
Now, do you feel you're jinxed at all to survive those many death experiences?
Yes, actually, Gary, that's an interesting thing you say, because I've actually said that to my mom. I've lost a lot of loved ones. And
RW, I got to ask also, are people gun shy to ride with you in a car?
No, they just when people have asked me before, they're like, so if I'm near you and like if I'm on a plane with you, that means I'm not going to die because you don't die. And that's actually been said to me. And I said, and I always come back at them with the quote from Braveheart. Remember the Irish King? You guys have seen the Braveheart, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the Irish King, who I thought was a lunatic, he said he could talk to God. And so when Mel Gibson says, "So did you talk to God?" He says, "I did. I did." He says, "What did he say?" He says, "I'm going to fare pretty good." What does he say about us? Oh, you're, and he used the F word. I won't use it on the radio. So,
oh, you were going to say the fuck word, weren't you? You were fucked. Okay, we understand that.
Yeah.
I used it. I'm sorry.
I use very colorful phrasing because me and people say, you've died this many times. I've had religious people come at me and go, "You've died this many times. God has given you all these many chances. You should be doing something very, fruitful with your life and serving Him and everything." And I'm like, I serve God in my own way, and it says in the Bible that every man work on his own soul and salvation with fear and trembling. So
well, you should tell them people that say that not to judge you.
Right, exactly. And I do come back at them with that. I said, "Judge not, lest also you be judged by the same rule and measure that you judge by." I mean, I know a lot of scripture. And so I don't, when I think of God, the being that is the omnipotent, I don't think of Him in the same he or I don't even know if you can classify Him as a he, but I don't put Him in this realm that He judges me for everything that I say, or if I smoke a cigarette. I don't think He's going to condemn me to hell for all that. It's how I treat my fellow man. I have an outreach program, Gary, you're aware of that, of working with the homeless. And, my mom and I both, every year we collect clothes and we donate food to the shelters and, go out and find homeless people on the street. And my mom cooks these massive meals, and we dished out between 30 and 40 plates just on one given day to different homeless people that were just sitting behind a store with no one to care about them. That's my calling, if you want to call it that. That is to work with them, such as yourself, Gary, that I believe that's not paid the tribute that they should be. And I say this, and I know that we have a lot of truckers that are out there. By the way, I want to give a shout out to all the truckers that are out there listening to your show tonight and every night. A lot of people don't understand that truckers, they have a very lonely life sometimes. They're on the road. They're away from their families. And that radio is their contact. And listening to your show, Gary, and you do an outrageously great show. And I apologize for the last few months. I've told you this. I've explained to you this in private, that I've been working a full-time job that was taking up every moment of my life, it felt like. And I just hadn't had a chance. So I was going back and sometimes listening to your show. We're already in recordings. And but the point is that I'm trying to say is, Gary, you do a great job with you getting entertainment out there for people to be able to disconnect from the reality of the cruel world and listening to something, be it far-fetched to them or be it far-fetched to someone else. Maybe you're hitting on a perspective that to something in that show that's going to grab them, and so I applaud you for the show that you do. And James, you the same way.
Thank
I know
you.
You've done a lot of fill-in for Gary at times. By the way, Gary, how are you feeling?
I feel good. I feel good, but I still can't walk or stand, and I'm hoping that in the next couple months I'll be able to walk. Because I'll tell you one thing, you don't realize how helpless you are when one day you can walk, the next day you can't. And I'll tell you, being stuck in my house for 2.5 months is like going to prison. That's how I feel sometimes.
Yeah. When I came out of Moffat 10 years ago, they told me, because I had atrophy. I had laid in the hospital bed for 2.5 months and not getting up at all. And so atrophy, of course, it was because I'd been kept dying so many times. They were fearful of letting me out of the bed. But atrophy had set into my muscles in my legs, and my legs had almost shriveled up to looking like skeletal. And I went down to 92 pounds, I think is what it was.
Wow.
That was 150 down to 92.
Geez.
Go ahead, I think, James.
Yeah, I said, geez, that's a dramatic weight loss.
Yeah, it was. And the doctors told my mom, and they were fearful of telling me, because I'm one of those people, you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to show you I can. And so they told my mom, they said, he has severe atrophy. He may never walk again. And if he does walk, it's going to be with a severe limp, and he may have to use a crutch or use a walker for the rest of his life. My mom says to him, she says, you don't know my son. And I thank God that I had a mom have a mom that has that much spunk about her. Because she stood up to these head official doctors that thought they knew everything. And she told them, she said, you don't know my son. And that was true. She came in and she talked to me. I had another doctor came in with her, and they told me what I was facing. They said, you may not be able to walk. And my mom said, yet. She threw the word in, yet. And I said, well, I'll show you. I'll walk out of this hospital. They said, well, that's doubtful, because you're going to need months and months of rehabilitation and therapy and what have you. I said, watch me. And so, like you said, Gary, you don't realize until something like that is taken away from you. When I went to go my brain said, you can walk. My body said, you can't. Convincing the legs to move was a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah, I found that out.
Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. And, but I did, and I managed. And when I walked out of the hospital 2.5 months later, they had me in a wheelchair, going to push me out the hospital to my mom's car that was sitting out front. And I said, nope, stop, right here. I said, what are you talking about? And I said, I told you I was going to walk out of this hospital. And I had heads of doctors watching from up above. There was an open area. You could look down from up top down to the lobby area. Doctors were all standing there. I got up out of the wheelchair, and I walked 10 feet across that threshold. And I turned to them and looked at them, and I said, see, told you I'd do it.
Oh, wow.
And I did. And a year later, I ran a race for Moffat to raise money for cancer in a 5K.
Oh, wow.
Just 1 year later.
Hey, so now we got a problem. We're almost out of time. I'm
so sorry.
No, why should you be sorry? I know I'm not sorry. Tell people about your book and how they can find it.
The Gift, the Curse is a historical fictional. Let me put that in there. That's got history spread throughout it with actual historical figures and times and dates. But it is fiction, and it's a romance, supernatural, because the man, Mercutio, is an immortal. He's in love with a woman that he cannot have because she's human. She's mortal, but when she dies, she keeps getting reincarnated as a different woman each lifetime. And so he has to track her down and find her and convince her to fall in love with him all over again. And he cannot reveal to her that he's an immortal because he's under a secret oath with the Anuket, which is a secret society. And so I've from all the tabs that are coming in on it, 80% of my readership is in fandoms is females. So females are going to love that, the story. I'm currently just about written the Resurrection, which is the sequel to it. And my publisher says I'm way overdue on that one.